No wonder at times I feel unforgiven. And the Lord's like, you said, forgive me as I am forgiving other people. The postscript, as some call it, in the Lord's Prayer in Matthew, verses 14 and 15 say, he makes it a point to hammer in on this. He says, for if you forgive others their offenses, your heavenly Father will forgive you as well. But if you don't forgive others, your Father will not forgive your offenses. This is probably my favorite petition, the second half of verse 10. On earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. I say this often. I say it when I walk into the church. I say it when I'm in my home. I say it when I can remember and I'm driving. On earth as it is in heaven. And this isn't just saying like, God, fix the world, please. Which we need fixing. We have always need fixing that only He can do. But if we're asking for our will to be undone and His kingdom to come on earth, we have to know as believers that that's a high possibility that yes, that will happen. It will. His kingdom will break in on earth, just like moments in Genesis 28, Jacob. He's in the wilderness and he lays his head down on this rock and the Lord reveals himself in this dream and he gives him a vision of a ladder that alters the course of his entire life. And he wakes up from this dream in the wilderness on a rock and what does he say? Surely the Lord is in this place. In this wilderness. And so then he goes to the rock. He anoints the rock. He calls this area Bethel, house of God. Surely the Lord is in this place. There's a phrase I really like that describes this from ancient Celtic Christianity. They call this the thin place. There's a thin place. On earth as it is in heaven is this thin place, which is moments where the distance between heaven and earth just feel thin. Where there's an intersection and you can feel it and you can sense it. So much so that you aren't the only one perceiving it. Have you experienced this before? Where you're speaking with a friend or a family member and you say, do you feel that right now? Now, I don't think that that's just confirmation bias, okay? I think that His power and His kingdom and His healing and His gifts, I mean, it's Pentecost Sunday today. These things come down to us. Surely the Lord is in this place. This happens when we gather for prayer and worship. I was just talking about with that. It's not a question. It happens. He is here. This happens when we partake in the bread and the cup. But hear me on this and hear me clearly. This happens in times of deep grief and despair. I've seen on earth as it is in heaven in a Motel 6 in some of the grungiest, dirty places on earth, and I've also seen it at a church pew on Sunday morning. His presence on earth as it is in heaven. This isn't a wrong thing to pray for, because when I say on earth as it is in heaven, I'm not saying, Lord, will you give me really good feelings about you and your kingdom? Because whether I feel Him or not, whether I distinguish in my mind that He's here, that's not going to have any effect on whether He's actually here or not. I can be anxious, depressed, and His presence can be here. And I can also feel emotional, and I can sense His presence, and His presence is also here. He goes on, verse 11, he says, give us today our daily bread. Give us today our daily bread. The Christian life, in my opinion, it's lived one day at a time. We did an entire series on this. If you want to go back and listen to it, I think about 2 years ago. Daily bread. I can't help but think about the manna in the wilderness, in which Jesus was obviously very aware of this story, very more well-versed than any of us in this room about this story. I don't have it on the screen. I'm just going to read it. There's some really important details. Exodus chapter 16, verses 18 and on says, the person who gathered a lot of the manna had no surplus, and the person who gathered a little had no shortage. Each gathered as much as he needed to eat. Moses said to them, no one is to let any of it remain until morning. Big shock. They didn't listen. Some people left part of it until morning, and it bred worms, and it stank. Therefore, Moses was angry with them. The manna expiration date was 24 hours. Daily bread. And the manna, as you know, is a deep symbolism for God's provision. 24 hours, daily bread. And the paradox is the people who gathered like COVID toilet paper size manna had no surplus. They had no surplus. And then the people that gathered just as much as they need, a little, they were fine. They were totally taken care of. And then it expired in the morning. Jesus knows that my temptation is to switch this prayer around and say, Lord, will you just give me like my weekly bread? And then I can come to you. Can I just have an advance on this? Like I'm at church right now and I'm asking you, will you be with me this week? And I will talk to you next week. He knows the temptation, but he's saying, come to me each morning. C.S. Lewis said this really well in Letters to Malcolm. He said this, he said, relying on God has to begin all over again every day, as if nothing had yet been done. So that's either really encouraging to you or discouraging to you. But what that tells me is like, I can't ride on the fumes of my faith from a couple of years ago. Sometimes I can't even ride on the fumes of my faith from last week. I need to wake up, and as I wake up, say, Our Father, I'm here. There's a phrase from a friend of mine. He puts it really simple. He says, AM, thank him. Or no, AM, ask him. PM, thank him. Ask him in the morning, Lord, provide me my daily bread. I know that you will. And in the evening, Lord, thank you for showing up in X, Y, Z. AM, ask him. PM, thank him. The manna expired. 24 hours. We have a day. Verse 12, we start talking about forgiveness. To him, for others. Verse 12 reads, and forgive us our debts as we have forgiven our debtors. What a scary prayer. Because if I am actually believing what I'm requesting here, what that means is forgive me in the same fashion and way in which I am forgiving other people. No wonder at times I feel unforgiven. And the Lord's like, you said, forgive me as I am forgiving other people. The postscript, as some call it, in the Lord's Prayer in Matthew, verses 14 and 15 say, he makes it a point to hammer in on this. He says, for if you forgive others their offenses, your heavenly Father will forgive you as well. But if you don't forgive others, your Father will not forgive your offenses.